Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, March 19th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And also, if you're into Bitcoin, I will do a bonus Bitcoin analysis at the end. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, GOEV. Very, very nice move on this one today. And now have ourselves a good solid pattern, which is always good because when you have those patterns that you got to imagine a lot of other people notice, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So let's get this pattern here drawn into play. And this is just the general idea of the pattern. So we have a resistance there. We have a nice support area right there. Let me change that to green to represent support. And then maybe make this easier to see. Let's all keep it one color. So we have our resistance. We have our support. We have the nice big move up right here. For you golfers out there, try to make it a little bit more visual. Put the golf hole down here. This would be a bull pennant pattern. So while there is no such thing as a guarantee, is it plausible to think that if the price comes up here and breaks up through the top part of the pattern, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible scenario. So if you like bull pennants, you like stocks down below $5, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol SOUN, and I've been tracking this one very closely. Talked about this sideways channel that had formed, and earlier on you can see the price try to get up through there, but just couldn't really maintain any sort of continuation. And back inside the channel, the price has fallen. So from that angle, nothing has really occurred because, again, it's just simply stuck inside of this channel. Now, it was eventful because you had this false breakout to the upside of the channel, but with the price falling back inside of it, like I said, from that angle, nothing really new to report other than just continue to keep an eye on those main levels that we've been watching. So from a support standpoint, key level to keep an eye on, $7.55, and then the top of the channel, key level resistance up there at $8.70. But what we have learned about 870 is just because the price breaks above it, don't get overly excited. In fact, we have an example of that, false breakout, and then right here was a much larger false breakout. So 870, like I said, definitely one of those tricky levels where just because it initially is broken, you still probably want to be relatively skeptical. But nonetheless, those are the two main levels here as we're getting the week started. Next one, STI. Very, very nice move around this one. Now, there is a little bit of perspective that goes into it. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well, then yes, from that standpoint, the chart's looking pretty rough because there was a pullback that has been occurring. But from the overarching standpoint, beautiful move. And the easiest way to see that is just based on the fact that this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched last week's videos. But I talked about that downwards trend line right there. But you can see the price is now well up above that area. So in other words, the trend line is broken, and that's the current, general phase of the chart. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see the levels a little bit closer. But in terms of levels of support now, first key level of support would be right there at $2.42, and that's what I would call the ideal level. Meaning, if you're asked, hey Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward? That would be if the price stays above 242. But from an overarching standpoint, just watch that purple line there, which is the 50-period simple moving average. Keyword there being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher, and that's what it's all about. As long as the price stays above that purple line, as the line itself moves higher, well then by default, that means the price is putting in higher lows, and that's what you want to see from a trend building standpoint. In terms of areas of resistance, main battleground to watch, my opinion, going to be that trend line right there, which I think a lot of people probably drawn something very similar to that, which once again reintroduces that talking topic of both potential self-fulfilling prophecies. But all things considered, overall, the chart's putting in higher highs and higher lows, and that's what matters most. Next one, GNS. Very nice move here, and I've already talked about this type of pattern, so I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker. But we have ourselves, once again, one of these patterns that you got to think several people are going to be watching. And when you have several people watching the same types of patterns, let me change that to green, then you're going to have those potential self-fulfilling prophecies. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the nice upwards move there, we have the golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. The biggest difference here, I would say, is just this is a penny stock. So if you only like to trade penny stocks or what have you, but you do like bull pennant patterns, then GNS, I would say, definitely belongs on your watch list for Tuesday. Next one, ticker symbol TLRY. And yeah, today was apparently the day of bull pennants because we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. But this one definitely had a very nice day, came to life, good solid volume. And one of those situations where you got to think a lot of people are going to be watching it moving forward. It is in that popular price range down here below the $5 mark. So yes, I'm not going to sit here and just reiterate everything as I've already said it. So I do still want to get it mapped out there. So there again, we have ourselves another bull pennant. So if you like bull pennants, then headed to Tuesday, you have yourself quite the variety of choices. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for my free live online webinar that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the webpage you can use to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. Next one here, ticker symbol TSLA, Tesla. And finally, this thing actually had a green day. It feels like it's been forever, but has come off this bottom. And I talked about previously that, maybe this was some sort of sideways channel that maybe, that the downwards pressure was alleviating. And yes, nice bounce up. Another big question mark moving forward is this a truly strong move, or is this just some sort of dead cat bounce? A more than fair question to be asking. But to be fair, maybe it's not a dead cat bounce. Maybe it actually is the start of a bigger move in the upwards direction. But nonetheless, those couple levels down there have played their role now. So moving forward, first key level of resistance that I think a lot of people will be paying attention to is that trend line right there. Nothing fancy at all, especially with the way that it behaved today. But I mean, check it out by using that point. And then that point did a fantastic job of forecasting this general area right here. So that'll be a level at, if the price does break, I think there's a very real possibility that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy because it is a Tesla. It is Tesla. Relatively popular stock. I think all traders have heard of Tesla and know the ticker symbol. So keep an eye on that, potential breakout dynamic. In terms of areas of support, the ideal level, again, this is the level that I would say makes the chart look the healthiest, the strongest moving forward, would be to stay above 170, 130. But from the overarching standpoint, just now watch that purple line. It's flattening out right now, but if the price can stay above it, it'll eventually start to curl back upwards and then get a nice upward slope to it. And at that point, that's when momentum starts to shift towards the bull. So yeah, the bulls gained some momentum today, but there's definitely more work that needs to be done. That first bit of work being getting above and staying above that resistance trend line. Next one here, ticker symbol VERB over here, VERB. So that'll be hopefully an easier one to remember. But once again, we are back to our bull pennants. Let me just get this line into play here. Now, this is a multi-day bull pennant. We have our area of resistance. And then for the lower trend line, I'm actually just going to use the purple line there, the 50-period moving average as the trend line. I mean, if you wanted to draw something like that, I wouldn't have any complaints against it. But I think it's more than valid to just use that purple line as the quote-unquote trend line for this pattern. So then just because I can't help myself, we have our resistance. We have our support. We have the big move up here. Have the golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. But this one has definitely had a lot of volume. It's a penny stock, and volume is very important in penny stock. So it's all there. Yes, it's pulled back a little bit deeper today, but within the grand context of things, still plenty higher than where it was last week. So we'll see if the bulls can consolidate out here and get a healthy movement back to the upside. Next one here, ticker symbol AAPL, Apple, and started off very strong on the day with a nice first off gap up, and then spent the early morning very strong move up, and then has essentially given back all those gains. But my main question, so I'm going to get a little rid of these lines here, because my main question is what's ultimately going to happen here with this pink line? Because before this last 30 minutes with the price breaking down below it, actually a beautiful bounce off that line, That is the very famous 200-period moving average. However, like I said, and this is why I like to do these when the market's open, because as I speak, you can see the price is actually breaking down below it. But to be fair, these are not exact levels. There's a range element. So I would still consider this within the range. But any sort of further downwards pressure, that is just symbolizing that, that today, maybe was just some sort of, dead cat kind of type bounce here. If it does pull back deeper, then I would definitely consider the must-hold level down there at 172.60. And I'm not saying this will occur, but for explanation's sake, if the price were to come down here and then push down through there, what would that be doing to the price at that point in time? That would quite literally be putting the price right back to where it was in this range. So in other words, that would imply the price made a great move up and then went right back to where it started. Again, not exactly a sign of genuine power. So that is why, preferably speaking, the price can start to level out here around the 200-period moving average. But if it doesn't, next key level there at 172.65, which I would consider that must-hold level. Next one here, ticker symbol MARA, and the bounce continues. So I'm going to get rid of that level because really I think the most important thing is you got to give credit where credit's due. It bottomed out here, and then put in a low there, and then put in a low right there. So that's the most important thing right now is, can the price continue to build these higher lows? Or for visual sake, if you want to envision these as stair steps, can the price continue to build stair steps in the upwards direction? So from an overall health standpoint, I think that's a main question mark for the week. It's not necessarily exploding upwards or anything like that. I mean, sure, that would be great, but just from a general health standpoint, can it continue to build those stair steps in the upwards direction? So continue to watch that. And really the easiest way to gauge that, instead of just stair steps, is let's put a trend line into place here. There you go. Now that is a relatively steep trend line. So in fact, seen that? I don't really like that trend line. That seems very steep. But just from a general standpoint, you want to watch those lows, and you want to just see them, broadly speaking, getting higher and higher. In terms of areas of resistance, main battleground right now, I would say right there at that $20 mark, which you can see right here was a former area of support. Then when the price fell below it, acted as resistance, and then today resistance. So not saying that the $20 area can't be broken, but the bulls are clearly going to need to bring their A game. Next one here, ticker symbol TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to go up, this one will also go up, and it's a very popular ETF out there. And yeah, today started off pretty nice, but ultimately speaking, that pink line there won out on the day, which not totally shocking. That's the 200 period moving average. You can see it acted as resistance there, and then, ultimately a fake breakout went, and then, the price has pulled back quite a bit. And then as I speak right now, there's been a pretty big last 30 minutes here as the price pulls back, which is where the first update comes into play, that update being based on the foundational rule and charting. Then levels of resistance are broken and closed above. You want to see them act as support. And same general idea here is, very nice upwards move. But if the price comes down to 58.95, right there, and then just continues on down, we have ourselves, again, one of those situations where nice move up, and all of a sudden the price is back to where it started over here. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but that is why 58.95, certainly a very important level of support. And then, as I already talked about, main level of resistance right up there at that 200 period moving average. But yeah, looking at today in the last 30 minutes here, not looking so good. Looking like the price is going to be doing battle and testing that 58.95 mark. So let's see if the bulls can hold, or if the price is going to be drifting right back to where this all started. So that wraps up the top 10 stocks here. So for those of you stock traders out there for Bitcoin, I'll get to that chart in just a minute. But if you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used, and like I said, get signed up for that free webinar. It'll be later this week, Thursday, March 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. For you Bitcoin traders, let's now talk about Bitcoin. Now, one quick clarification, we are no longer looking at the 30-minute time frame. We're actually looking at the 4-hour time frame. So each one of these candlesticks now represents 4 hours. And over the weekend, this will mean more to those of you that watch the video I did on Friday. But I talked about this overall support zone. Talked about the top of the support zone at 67,250, bottom of the support zone down there at 64,500. And I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but definitely to pat charts on the back. And I'll turn into a quick plug. This is why you need to get signed up for that free webinar. But check that out. You just can't make this stuff up. And I promise I have not moved that line right there at all. If you don't believe me, I'm not offended. All you got to do is go back in the video archives and watch the previous video from Friday, and you'll see I've had that line in there, and look right where it bounced off of. Now, our chart's perfect. No, there's no such thing as a perfect tool, but I would argue, and here's some real-life proof, that there's certainly a tool worth having in your tool belt. So moral of the story there, charts are definitely worth it. And overall, from the Bitcoin standpoint, so far so good. The support zone here is putting up a good fight. It is providing buyers, and from an overall standpoint, that's sometimes all you need, because nothing can go straight up. And yes, Bitcoin is finally pulled back here a little bit, but of course from the bigger picture, if I do this very crudely, I mean, essentially what you just have here is one big bull flag pattern. So you could look at it like that. But in the more near term, so yes, we have our support zone right there. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then we also have established now that 50 period moving average in the near term is certainly that stubborn level of resistance. You can see it now starting to act as a resistance ever since the price fell down below it. But all things considered, good, healthy weekend. Glad to see that it bounced off of the support zone down there. And we'll see if the price can start to try to turn itself back around and potentially do battle with that 50 period moving average. And same as the stock traders, you Bitcoin traders, what you'll learn about in this class definitely can and should be used to apply to your Bitcoin and crypto trading. So you also need to get signed up for it. Like I said, it'll be later on Thursday, March 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you enjoy these top 10 videos, hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you traded today. Tell me what your watch list is for tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and go get signed up for that class.